In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Welcome to Scarlets Fever, the home of Saucepan Central and Westerer is Besterer.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Scarlets Fever with me, Lee G. Joining me this week, as always, is Big M and Hugh Flatcap. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Good evening. I'm claiming that I'm the first person ever to team a flat cap with a Moana Pacifica hoodie.
Ooh. I mean, it's a unique combination. It's
Exactly.
not one I've seen before, I'll be honest.
Exactly.
But see, I'll top your Pacifica one with my Barrafungal one. So yeah, keeping it local,
Yes.
man. That's where we are. See, I know where my roots are. So we'll skip over the boring bits, gents. Let's just, because we've got a lot to get through tonight because it's pre-season. We've got the Bulls on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. At a silly time, 1 o'clock, I think it is on Sunday, isn't it? Kickoff on Sunday. It's not like a 3 o'clock kickoff or a 5. I'm sure it's like a 1 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, it will be because of the time difference.
Yeah. So, we got a lot to get through, first of all. So, first of all, I just want to have a chat about the news, which today, Barbarians game on the same day as Scarlets Cardiff, and Nigel Walker has come out today and said he hasn't apologised and he hasn't acknowledged that they've made a mistake, but they've said that this kind of game won't happen again. These kind of clashes won't happen again, which just sounds like a load of old wank to me from some guy that's had a bucket load of shit off people. So what do you guys make of a half-assed apology from the WRU on it? Matt, what you can have first go. What do you reckon?
It's laughable. I mean, these are supposed to be high-end executives. They're crazy. You don't come out and, half-ass it. You either go full or you don't at all. No, I mean, and they just slowly slid in there, we're not doing the Bath Gloucester thing anymore. Well, they didn't have the money. That's why they're not doing it. They couldn't afford to rent it out. That was the whole problem. If they had the money, you'd still be doing it.
Yeah.
But no, that's all it is. It's money. That's all they care about. And I'm on the fence. Normally that's you. But the way I look at it is, these international breaks, we haven't got no legal right to keep these players. I know this comes outside of that break, but the fact is you don't have to give us funding. They choose to do that. There's nothing that says they have to fund us. So they're essentially paying us the 5-6 million a season for these odd extra few weeks throughout the year. And if you balance it out that way, it's a massive help. It is a detriment to the game, massive detriment. But at the same time, we couldn't afford to do anything without the WRU pumping money into us.
Okay. Hugh?
Well, specifically on what he said, like, oh, this won't happen again. This fixture was arranged firmly well into Nigel Walker's tenure, so it's not like he can blame his predecessor. It's either he didn't realise, well, the WRU didn't realise that there was going to be this clash, which is unacceptable, or they did realise and they just didn't care, which is also unacceptable. I understand why they feel the need to put this game on. And it tells you all you need to know about the finances in rugby as a sport, really. But yeah, like I say, it's just to have it on the same. I wish I was in the room, because there must have been someone who'd have gone, "Ooh, that's on the same weekend as Cardiff Scarlets," and they must have gone, "Ah, well," or convinced themselves that it was fine. The only good thing is that the reaction on socials, which is a bit of an echo chamber, but the reaction to it on socials, if you look at the replies to the WRU post, is all negative. It's all negative. So, they get the most of the money for this from TV rather than stadium. So, if they have a half, 2/3 empty Principality, but people watching it on telly, then that's kind of cake and eat it, really. Back the park.
Yeah. And that's my kind of thing, is that they could have had this game at a different time. They didn't necessarily need to have this game right now. And that's the bit that annoys me, is that why should a region be competing against the national side, both for players and for viewers? That the WRU should be there to help support players and support people going to a ground and watching a ground, not trying to pull them in different directions, And I know there are some people who will only ever support Wales and don't support, a region and all of that kind of stuff. Well, then the WRU should be trying to encourage them to go to games, So, and I don't see that at all. I don't see that happening with them at all. So we'll take Nigel on his word that this won't happen again. Well, it's in black and white, it's written there, and we'll see how that works. But like you say, Pack the Park. While we're talking about Pack the Park, last week with Ed Jenks, we said about bringing the Mediterranean feel to the park. So if anyone has got a drum and a trumpet or a trombone or a marching band of some sort, please do give us a bell and come on before, so we can practice some songs and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, please do bring it, because
have you checked with Parky Scarlet security that you can get? Okay, all right, we're finding out the hard way then.
We're finding out the hard way.
No, I know to do it. Take a pram in. They do not check prams. I've done it so many times.
Because this happened at a Newcastle game where PSG fans turned up with a drum, and all the Newcastle fans were like, "I didn't know you could get a drum in here." So they theorised that someone had put the drum under their jumper and said they were a pregnant lady. So try that. Mate, I don't know what you're going to say the trumpet is.
Or where you're going to hide it. Well, I went to an international game in Cardiff once against France, and I was in the old arcade after the game. So this is after the game, yeah? And a guy comes in with a big, those big drums that are on the front, you go boom, 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 with a fucking cockerel on the top. He was walking around and this cockerel was just sat on the top of the drum, and he was banging the drum. And then every now and again, the cockerel would just kind of like fly off. He'd pick it up, he'd put it back on, and boom, 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 boom. And you know how small the old arcade is and how tight that gets after the game when you're all in. And there's this guy standing, boom, 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 with his fucking cockerel going everywhere. Don't get that nowadays. Anyway,
those people are probably paid by the French Rugby Union, because have you seen like the South African ones? Like whenever you're watching South Africa game and it pans to this like guy in the crowd with no teeth, and he's waving the South African flag. He's employed by the South African Rugby Union to go to games and wave the flag. That's true.
I'd do that if somebody wanted to pay me to wave a flag and bang a drum and play a crap trombone. I'd do that. Anyway, let's get a drum inside, park a Scarlets, and beat the hell out of it. And if you can't get in and you get it confiscated, don't blame me, because we told you weren't allowed to, but it would be good to have it in there. And boom, boom. Okay, so that's enough about the WRU. So talking about people getting wound up and annoyed and angry and just kind of losing their stuff over everything. Dragons supporters appear to be annoyed that we're not talking about them on our pod. Which, obviously Dragons boys have got pod themselves, but apparently we should be talking about the Dragons on the Scarlets pod because I don't know. So just wanted to say we did talk about the Dragons, but we're not going to anymore. So we're going to move on. Fuck them. And also tonight,
charming. he's on one tonight.
I'm on one tonight, and I'm on one tonight because Osprey supporters started getting wound up about something that's got absolutely nothing to do with them tonight as well. So nuts to the pair of them. You can bugger off the lot of you. So I mean, Hugh's gutted because you had a whole load of research and numbers and spreadsheets ready for the Dragons game, didn't you, mate? You actually did research and stuff.
Yeah, it was all there, but never mind.
Needs of the many.
Right. Okay. Well, seeing as we're talking Hugh and we're talking about stats and all of that kind of stuff, let's have a look at this year's squad and the makeup of the squad and who we think is going places in the squad. So Hugh, this is all yours now, my friend.
Okay, so we're doing something a bit different and a bit fun today. So this is a video format that some viewers might be familiar with. This is very popular in football. So Martin, football is a sport that is very popular around the UK. It's played on a big pitch like rugby is, except the ball is round and there's nets at either end of the pitch. Okay?
That's soccer.
Okay.
It's the one where they've all got those hairbands like you, Mark.
Hey,
and the,
no hairband
and the
tonight.
Ponytails.
No hairband tonight.
No, but no hairband and no
pony. A special one, but I couldn't find it. When I will bring it on. I promise next week. A nice big pink fluffy pudsy hairband.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Hugh.
So I'm sharing my screen now. So give me a shout when you can see that.
Yeah, can see it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Right. So for our audio listeners, our wonderful audio listeners, we also have a YouTube channel. If you go on the Rap YouTube channel, you can see this there. It's a bit more of a visual thing, but we'll be talking about everything anyway. So hopefully for audio people, it still works, but check out Rap YouTube as well. All the pods are on there and you can look at our lovely faces every week. So
well, speaking about faces, can they see our faces right now? Because you shared your screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Right. So what we've got the entire Scarlet squad as per the Scarlet's website, and it's only the senior squad. So I don't want anyone tweeting me saying my wife's cousin's brother's nephew's best mate has just broken into the under-16s. We're not talking about them this week. We're talking about only the senior squad as per the Scarlet's website. And there's 35 players on there. Okay. So that's how many players we're talking about. Okay. So what we've got is all of them. And then we've got the categories. So it's a tier list. So you put them into the different tiers. So you rank them into groups. Okay. So the tiers that we've got from top to bottom are nailed on starter, self-explanatory, big part to play. So maybe not a nailed on starter, but because the nailed on starter might be away with Wales or injured, or let's face it, red carded at some point in the season. This guy's going to be getting a lot of minutes. Got one to watch. So we'll come up with examples as we go on through this, but this is a guy who maybe not many people know about right now, but by the end of the season might be knocking on the door for either a first team berth or maybe even a Wales call up. Valuable squad member, someone who is maybe second, third choice, but is going to play a lot because, like I said, we're going to have players away this season. And then point to prove. So this is a guy who's got to win a few people over maybe and show what they're really about this season. So, like I said, 35 players to get through. Let's jump straight into it. Let's start with an easy one. Let's go with my favourite player, Sam Costello. Nailed on starter?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's hard to argue against him being a nailed-on starter, isn't it? You know.
Well, I could argue for it, but I'm not going to, because you wanted it to be an easy one.
Why would he not be a nailed-on starter?
Because we haven't seen what Johan Lloyd provides us yet. And he's got a good 3-4 weeks now to really bed himself in. We don't know what sort of situation it's going to come at. Obviously, Sammy's going to be involved in every single game outside of the international window. But I don't know whether or not he's going to be, a 50-50 with Johan, or whether he's going to be, a sort of that 70-30 sort of rotation we see in other clubs.
So,
okay, well, so go on.
When you say he's going to be a definite starter for every game outside of the window, nailed on starter, kind of that's what that one says.
Well, I didn't say definite starter.
Okay.
Right, okay. If that's the way this is going to go, we're going to be here all night. Okay, right. Let's do Johan Lloyd then. So I'm on big part to play because he's, as we record tonight, as based on what we know and what we've seen, he's a backup to Sam.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
Yeah, he's one that I think might take more than a season to bed in. I genuinely do. I think he had a torrid time of it at Bristol, and I hope he settles in quicker here. Having a run of games is going to help that. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was just taking out his stats at Bristol, and he only played 37 games for them, and it feels like he's been around for about 5 years, but he hasn't. He's only played 37 games for them. But he's really not. He's apparently with us as a fly half, but he's really not nailed down a position. So of his 37 starts, he's got 13 on the wing, 11 at fullback, 8 at fly half, and 5 times at the centre. So he's been all over the shop, positional wise. So he's primarily as a fly half, but I expect to see him playing fullback at some point during the season, especially when Sam's back. I expect them to be a 10-15 sort of axis together.
I think the way we're going, he'll be scrum half on Sunday, mate. So, yeah. Next.
Let's do a scrum half then while we're at it. So, where is he?
You've got to find one now.
Here we go, Archie. Archie
One
Hughes.
to watch. Come on.
One to watch. Where do you think? Because he's obviously Wales under-20s scrum half currently. Do we see him breaking into the Wales first team? And if so, how long until that happens?
No, I don't see him in the Wales first team for a while because he needs to bulk. He's solid, but if you're going to play at international level, you need to be rocks. If you're going to be that small in height, you need to be rock solid. You look at Faf de Klerk, for example, who that's the style of player that Archie is, and he needs to be rock solid, and he's not there yet.
I'd liken him more to Aaron Smith, see, just his all-round speed of play. But at the same time, I'd say at the earliest, I could see him touring in the summer at the absolute earliest. I wouldn't imagine him getting capped, but getting him in the environment. I would think the Gatland's going to start doing that, getting boys in the environment ready for these next few years, even if they're not capped.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but then again, same as Johan Lloyd, reduced squad sizes. He's going to get more game time. Who knows? He may well set the world alight down in South Africa. I think he's fit now, isn't he?
He should have passed all his HIAs.
Yeah. So. It might just take a run of 3 or 4 games, and all of a sudden we're sat there going, "Wow, how did we miss that?" So, but for me, physicality at the international level, I can see him being number 2 at the end of the year at the Scarlets.
He is a Scarlet scrum half, and if you a scrum half who plays for the Scarlets, a scrum half who plays for Wales. It seems to be. But we just churn him out. We could lose 3 and we find another 3, and they'd be internationals within 2 years.
with Nick and back
Well,
up
let's
the
be
Dragons.
honest, we've lost two that could have been internationals.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. Let's
Right,
do our new captain then, Josh McLeod. So him being captain, he's obviously going to be a nailed-on starter in Dwayne's eyes to give him the captaincy.
Yeah.
What do you guys make of him being made captain?
I like it. I think if we're talking about nailed-on starters, you then talk about the age profile. You know, Josh, he's still a young man in rugby concerns. He's 26 years old. He's already done a lot with us. I mean, it feels like an eternity ago he scored that crossfield kick try against the Ospreys, and he's just still here, and it's remarkable. You know, the amazing sort of the Monaco style player, we'll call him. But I think he's the perfect choice. I mean, I know there are probably more experienced players. You've got your John Davis, your Ken Owens, but looking at the age profile and how long he should be around, it's a good move. We've got him for a good few years.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Lee.
No, the bit that I like about him is his mere existence drives Ospreys and Dragons supporters absolutely fucking loopy. Because why was he given a cap? He was given a cap because he was a number one turnover king in the URC. He was given a cap because his defence was top 3 or top 4 in the URC. Every single week he turned in and he performed, and he was able to run with the ball. Where there aren't many sevens. When you look at the sevens in Wales, we've got a glut of really, really good sevens, but they're good at one thing or another. And that's why he's 6, 7, and 8, because he can move his game around. And so the fact that he's our captain just winds other sides up something chronic, and I'm all for that. More of that we need.
Oh, fair enough then. So let's now talk about the guy who executed that crossfield kick against the Ospreys all those years ago. If I can find him, Scott Williams. Now, for me, Scott has a point to prove because he's just not been fit for however long. And he's starting to make his way back from injury now, but it's taking its time a little bit. So has he got to prove that he's still able to do it at this level?
Okay, before we go any further, is this a dictatorship?
No, you're completely free to disagree.
Yeah, no, I would never put Scott in a point to prove. He's done absolutely everything. He's returning from injury. I put him in the valuable squad member position. You can disagree with me, whatever. That's my own personal opinion. Lee, split decision. Come on, bet.
Yeah, no, I'd put him in between the two. I genuinely would, because
you can't put him in between the two.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
No, you can't. You physically can't.
He has got a point to prove. In the sense, he's got a point to prove in the sense that, can he still make it? He's proved everything he's needed to prove up till now. The point he needs to prove now is, has he still got it? And even if he's not still got it, he's still a really valuable squad member, because he's got an environment around. He's got an aura around him that just kind of spreads positivity amongst the other players. He was never a player that was renowned for being a strong runner or for this, but every time he was on the pitch, something happened, and it took a good couple of seasons for people to actually start taking notice of him and go, well, actually, look at the work that he does. Look at the work rate that he does. Look how quick that pass is. If you watch him pass, it's a movement from the elbow down. Yeah, and he can move a ball 20 meters from the elbow down. And players that play the game will know how difficult a skill that is, and he does it off both hands. Yeah, and you look at how much effort some players have to put in to actually move a ball, and then you go, I get now why Jonathan Davis looks so good outside him, because that ball just gets whipped across and he gets put into space, and it's because of Scott Williams. Can he still do it is my question. And I hope he can, because if he can, then yeah, it's brilliant to have him there. So for me, yeah, valuable squad member. There you
Valuable
go.
squad member it is.
Yeah.
2-1. Fair enough. Right.
1-0,
Let's go.
smashing who up the park. Come on.
Let's try and find a new signing or two here. So I've got to be honest, some of the second rows that we've signed are a bit much of a muchness, and it's not that easy to tell them apart from each other. I'm looking for. Go ahead,
the big
mate.
handsome ones. The big handsome
big
ones.
handsome ones.
Yeah.
I want to say this one is Alex Craig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. So our new big Scottish second row. So when I say big, they are big. So both him and Ed Scragg are 6'7", 120 kgs players. So when during the season we're all talking about how we haven't got any ball carriers, it's not because we're a small team, because we're not. It's a bit of a myth. So where do we see this guy playing? Has he come in and made himself first choice simply by being here?
No, not for me.
Yeah. Has he played yet?
Played against in the game that we're not talking about.
Oh, right, the game that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'd say he's got a point to prove. I'd say he's just coming in. He's got a big reputation, but he's got a point to prove. I'd say it'd be there. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I can't argue that he had a good few years with Gloucester, got into that Scotland camp, got his few caps, but he's had a lot of injuries, and this is a fresh start. This is him reinvigorating his career. So this is a massive point to prove. He could be a nailed-on starter in the sake of 3 weeks, but right now it this point to prove.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, let's start talking about players in pairs then, so we get a bit of debate going. So the pair I'm going to talk about is Gareth Davis and Kieran Hardy. Which one is the nailed-on starter?
For me, at the minute, it's Gareth Davis is the nailed-on starter. But if he's here and available, he's a starter. And I didn't think that at the start of last season. Last season, I thought he was lucky to still have a contract. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we spoke last season about this. Hardy does not do well starting games in Scarlet. Off the bench, he can be absolutely brilliant. But starting games, I don't know what it is. It's a blue moon if he has a good game.
All right, then. So we're going Gareth, nailed on starter, and then Hardy, he's going to have a big part to play for me. He's because he's going to be either 9 or 21, provided he's not with Wales. So he's going to be probably get the most minutes out of anyone at scrum half for us this year.
Yeah, I don't know if him having the most minutes out of the three of them is going to be the best thing for the Scarlets.
Well, 4 of them, we've got another scrum half to talk about in a minute.
Oh, yeah, the guy from RGC. Yeah.
We'll get to him in a bit.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Hardy for me, I don't get it. I think he has moments of brilliance, and you go, right, yeah, okay, and then you don't see it for the next 6 weeks or whatever. But the try he scored against England, tap and go with 5 meters out, and you just go, yeah, that's what you want. You want somebody that's going to do that, and we just don't see it at the Scarlets. For me, anyway, I don't see it at the Scarlets.
What do you reckon, Mark? What category would you have him in?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Big part to play. There's no real argument there. We've had our say on Archie, we've had our say on Gareth, and there's really only one slot in between them. Most minutes, I don't know. I think Archie might end up with the most minutes. The way they're going to have to rest Gareth and Kieran through the season with the international call-ups, etc. I could see Archie really having a proper breakthrough season with the minutes. But yeah, Hardy, he does have these moments of magic, and he has moments of madness. Edinburgh, not so long ago. We won't talk about it in too much detail. But I like the guy. I've met the guy a few times. I've spoke with him. He's a stand-up guy, but this is professional rugby. This is a sport. You've got to do it day in, day out, and his consistency is an issue.
Okay.
And
all right.
I think just before we do move on, like what Martin said there is actually really, really relevant. That just because we say a player as a point to prove or isn't a nailed on starter doesn't mean that we don't like them. There's loads of these players that we've met and they're really nice people. You can sit with them and have a chat and have a beer or a cup of coffee, as it is with most of them, and they're really nice people. But like Martin said, it's about pro rugby, and that's what we're talking about. We're not saying that any of these guys are completely rubbish, because they're not, and we're not saying that they're not nice people, because they are nice people. So I just wanted to make that clear before the dickheads start on Twitter.
Before anyone's mum starts ringing you up.
Yeah, because they'll find my number somewhere.
All right, then. Let's do
Sorry
another...
about that.
Let's do one that might be a little bit sore, maybe. John Fox. I don't think you can put him in nailed on starter anymore.
No.
Squad,
No.
100% for me.
But he can't be one to watch, can he?
No, he's not a rising star. It's interesting that we got him there alongside Scott Williams, because 5 years ago that was gold dust, and you could quite happily, both of those two were nailed on stars, and I think they're in squad member for exactly the same reason now. Is that we've got some great memories, and start of last season, Foxy had 12 turnovers in 8 games, I think it was. As a centre, he was doing the open side flanker job at centre, so he has still got something about him. But yeah, it's as a squad member now, and it's you can't with the likes of Joe Roberts around. I don't think you can say that he's a nailed on starter anymore.
So does that mean that we're putting Joe in nailed on starter then?
No, 100%.
For me, yeah. That was an easy one.
Yeah, and is Johnny Williams a nailed on starter as well?
Ooh.
Well, we haven't got a 12 in nailed on starter yet, so theoretically there should be 15 players in nailed on starter.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'll ever get 15 in nailed on starter.
No.
I mean, I'm torn between big part to play and point to prove.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just...
Martin's gone rogue.
Since he came back from injury back end of the last season, it seems like he's trying too hard. And you saw it with a few games with us. You saw it with Wales. It's as though the world is on his shoulders and he feels it. I mean, he was absolutely marvellous.
He plays, isn't it?
Yeah, he was absolutely marvellous against Munster when he came on. I think it was his first game back. But, since then, I don't know. I think it might be a mental issue with him. He just carries too much weight on his shoulder. Times when he should pass, he just sticks it up the jumper. And, that's really good when we need that crash ball, that punching that hole through the fences. But we don't need it every single time, and that's all I'm really seeing from him at the moment.
Well, I think that's his game. That straight, direct kind of running, that is his game. That's why I'd put him in a big part to play. I wouldn't put him as a nailed-on starter. I don't think we have got a nailed-on 12 at the minute. I'll be honest. But he's definitely, if you look at the options, if you've got Costello at 10, you could have Ioan Lloyd at 12. And the type of game that you would then, but the type of game you would then be playing with those two is very different to Costello and Johnny at 12. Do you see what I mean? He plays a certain type of game, and I think against certain sides, and when we're trying to play a very direct game, he's perfect. Against the sides where we need to move it wide early and run them around, maybe not. And that's why I think he's got a big part to play against certain sides.
Okay, all right then. So that's him in there then. Where should we go next? Johnny McNichol. So we had a bit of debate about this the other week. For me, Johnny McNichol is still first choice Scarlets fullback. Discuss.
Thanks. You've really done this in by ear. I'm going to slightly disagree with that statement. I'm going to say first choice back 3 player.
Right. Okay. So he'll be in the 15 one way or another.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Okay, cool. Ken Owens. So Ken's obviously struggling with injury and has been on and off for the last couple of years. He's not captain, and I think I remember reading a couple of years ago he didn't necessarily fancy being captain anymore. I think he was ready to let that go. What are we saying then? Is he? It has Elias. So if we talk about him as a pair, has Elias displaced him?
I think Sean Evans has probably displaced the pair of them, in all honesty.
Depends on style of play, but come on. No, this is a hard one, and this one I take very, very personally, being a hooker. Are we assuming he's going to make it back from this injury because he's not a young man and it's his back again?
For the sake of this, yes, he's going to play again.
If he comes back, yeah. Let's assume he comes back and he's... Like they said he wouldn't come back from his neck injury. And he did. And then he captained Wales. And did very well.
He would have been captain at the World Cup if he didn't get cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably still stick him in the big part to play. I'd probably put Elias in there with him because it'll be a toss-up between the two if they both fit.
Yeah,
well, I mean, to be fair, hookers don't normally get... it's normally 50-30 in terms of minute split, isn't it? So... I can see them getting a certain amount. Are we going to put Sean Evans in big parts of play as well? All three hookers in the same level?
Oh,
I'd say he is our nailed-on starter at the minute. I genuinely would.
Why? Because the other two aren't there.
Yeah, because one of them's in the hospital and one of them's a Barbarians game. No, I just think that the way he finished last season, the highlight reel I've seen of him so far this season, he's just very dynamic. He suits the style of play that Dwayne Peel keeps talking about that we want to play. Whereas, Ken is very similar in the attacking kind of way, and Ken is all places and everywhere. But like you say, he's a bit older and a little bit wiser and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got a scrummager, who does bits around the park. And I just think I think this will be the season where actually we go, well, fuck me, we got 3 international quality hookers here.
I was really impressed by Sean at the end of last year. Bless you, Martin. I was very impressed with Sean. I thought he really cemented himself. And who's the other guy who we let go and is now with Llandudbury? He'll probably come back.
Taylor Davis.
Yeah.
So I think Sean Evans has probably cost him his job, really, hasn't he?
Same as Davos. Honestly, we spoke about this last year. Sean came from absolutely nowhere, and his style of game from being a 7 for so long hasn't changed since he became a hooker. He's learned how to throw, he's learned how to scrummage, and he still plays like a 7. And him and Dan Davis on the field at the same time is, attacks beware.
Well, when you've got him, Dan Davis, and then Fafita in the second row, you've effectively got 5 back rowers on the pitch. So, that's what I mean about the way Dwayne Peel wants to play the game. And that's why I think he will be the nailed-on starter by the time we get to the European Championships come Christmas. He'll be the nailed-on starter.
So let's talk about that guy then, Dan Davis. Then, so we've already got Josh McLeod in the nailed-on starter in the number 7 jersey. We'll talk about maybe who's going to play number 8 later. But all the talk is around, and we'll do this guy at the same time. All the talk is about Tane Plumtree being the 6 because he's the replacement to Shingler. And I personally think Plumtree will not only be the 6 for Scarlets, I think he'll be the 6 for Wales sooner rather than later. So Dan Davis then. For me, he's not in our first choice back row.
No.
I'd say between him and Josh McLeod, they're in our first choice 23.
I'd go with that.
You need a new bit. Yeah. You need nailed on starter and then nailed on 23.
Yeah, but we'd have about 30 players in those 2 sections.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Dan Davis, he had a massive season last year and then got injured. And just at that point, when everyone was starting to sit up and say, actually, we've got another Welsh 7 who would probably make the World Cup, and then he got injured in the European game, and then it all kind of went pear-shaped. If he can stay fit, I would not be at all surprised to see him getting a call-up by the end of the year.
I remember... Sorry, go on, Matt.
But when we talk about Dan Davis, if you want to relate that to someone outside of the Scarlets, he's a Tain Basha, Mukan Jacko.
Yeah. And pass.
I do remember it was when we played Leinster back when we were good. And it was Dan Davis on the wide outside who stepped Dave Carney. And I don't think he scored the try, but he in real time, because obviously knowing the player, when I saw him on the wide outside, I was like, he's going to step him and go past him here, and he did. So I'll always have that little memory of him.
You'll always have that bit of self-gratitude of, this is how good I was.
Right, so this one we might have a bit of debate about. Steph Evans. For me, he's not in our starting team.
Depends on the hair. The amount of time that me and Martin spent discussing Steph Evans' hair last year.
No. We have not spent time discussing. You have spent time discussing.
I mean, the haircuts the guy has, he's got to be on the pitch just for that, just so I can see him for 2 minutes and go, okay, yeah, I like that one this week, or that's a bag of shit.
For me, he's in point to prove.
Ooh, squad member for me.
Because he started last season as poorly as any of our players did, and they all started poorly, but he started as poorly as any of them. And then for like the last 3/8 of the season, he was back to what his peak was. And then for the last couple of games, especially the Glasgow game as well, he was back down to I say there's 3 things that you can do on the rugby pitch. There's the right thing, the wrong thing, and the Steph Evans thing. And Steph always does the Steph Evans.
The burn!
But if he touches the ball 10 times, he scores a try, he concedes a try, and 8 times he just loses the ball. I don't know what his passing stats are. When he gets the ball, he either scores or he loses it.
And he's a winger.
Kicks it away a lot.
Yeah, he kicks it away. He doesn't kick well. He doesn't kick tactically. He kicks for himself to chase, and then he never gets it. And by the way, while I'm on my high horse here, twice I have seen this player have space in front of him to score a try, empty try line, and he runs and he tries to do an acrobatic thing, and he wants to do a backflip in the air, and he grounds the ball in touch, and there's no try, and there was no one in front of him.
Yeah, I've seen those as well, but I've also seen him score. No, I've also seen him score more tries than any of the Welshmen in the URC. I think he's 4 tries away from all-time highest URC try scorer. So, I expected him to pass that at the end of last season. He's one of those players that, as a coach, he frustrates the hell out of you, because you'll get the ball and you'll be draw and give, and you'll go round the player and you'll go, okay, draw and get, chip and check. Okay, just score. That's fine. Just score the try. And he doesn't do the right thing. Yeah, he's not the kind of player that a coach will look at and go, yeah, you're doing the right thing. But he gets the ball over the whitewash more times than anyone else. So I can see why he frustrates the hell out of people, but I also know that's why he's a fan's favourite, and he's very much Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. But for me, it depends on the hair, because I can see both sides of it. I can,
the left and the right.
And both are different. But as a coach, he would drive you nuts. And as a controlling player, no. But as a creative maverick, he's brilliant. Whether he's still got that, you can never tell. So for me, one to watch. I couldn't put him in a box. I genuinely couldn't put him in a box. Maybe valuable squad member. Yeah.
Where are you putting him, Matt?
I'm squad member. So,
All right,
one sec. Did you start at the point to prove how?
Yeah, I've been
2-0.
worked up.
Come
I've
on.
been worked up to valuable squad. Right, let's talk Tongans. Right, Stan Lousy. Nailed on?
Nailed on.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to say anything else. Vea Fafita. Vea Fafita's nailed on for me, but the question is where? And I think number 8.
8. Yeah. 8 for me too.
Lee?
I like him at second row. Just because he gives us that extra player on the pitch. And with him at second row, you've got... I think this goes back to depending on who you're playing and the type of game that you want to play. I think he just gives away too many penalties, which is my frustration with him. But him at second row, particularly with Lousy, frees up space in the back row for Dan Davis, Plumtree, and Josh McLeod. You put all of those players on the pitch. I'm sure.
So Josh at 8.
You could put Plumtree at 8, and Josh.
You put anyone at 8.
And that's what I mean. When you've got those players there, you could put Plumtree at 5 and Fafita at 8. It doesn't matter because they'll all do that job. So for me, I know everyone wants to see him at number 8, but I want to see him second.
I don't necessarily want to see him at number 8. He clearly worked in the second row, so I'm happy to stick with that. But I think with Callum Mahoney gone, we are needing a number 8, which brings us on to the next guy, Carwyn Tuipulotu. For me, he's one of two. He's either one to watch or he's point to prove. It depends on when you thought he was going to start being the guy.
Go on, Matt.
I'm going to say one to watch, just because he only had his first run of games last season when Callum Mahoney was injured, red carded to the Dragons. Oops. Yeah, and he showed a lot of promise in those few games, so I'm going to say he's one to watch.
He did do that offload against Claremont.
I know, I love that. Convier in the corner, outstanding.
One to watch then.
Yeah,
go ahead, Lee.
No, I'm just thinking he's probably been watched, and I think he's got a big part to play. But I think bringing Plumtree in has probably made his life a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, one to watch. But I think if he nails down the starting position at 8 this year, I'll be surprised. I think it'll be a 5 or 6 man back row that's constantly rotating.
Well, that's what you need.
I can see that. Right, let's talk about another potentially nailed on starter. If I can spot him, I'm going to talk about Ryan Conbeer. Nailed on starter for me.
Yeah, local boy. See, local boy.
Martin, you're looking like you disagree.
No, I'm just getting very upset that we're waiting so long to touch on the props. I mean, this is clear discrimination.
That's because they're like 10 meters behind everyone else going,
Right,
I'll be there in a minute.
Okay, let's talk about a prop. Let's talk about
Hang on,
Wyn
let's
Jones.
talk about Conbeer first. Let's talk about Conbeer because
Okay.
Conbeer is going to be our top try scorer this year. He will get looked over for Welsh selection time after time after time this year, and he will be our top try scorer. And there's a strong chance that he will be URC top try scorer this year as well.
Can I say something controversial?
Ooh.
He is the Scarlets Morgan Morris.
He's not got the hair for it, mate.
What is with the hair? Come on.
Morgan Morris has got crazy hair. Go on, explain yourself, you.
Morgan Morris is fantastic at club level, and all of the Ospreys are like, this guy should be getting a Wales call up, and he never will. And it's going to be the same for Ryan Conbeer. I think he's going to be fantastic at Scarlets level for his whole career, and I don't think he's ever going to get capped by Wales.
Yeah, I think he'll get capped, but I think he'll be during 2025 Lions.
Yeah, it'll be like 3 or 4 caps, and then he'll be back down. Yeah.
I mean, I like Conbeer. It's very interesting when we're talking about the back three now, just because adding Tommy Lewis into the situation it does change the dynamic massively.
So
we
Tommy
get on
Lewis's
a bit.
thing is gas, as far as I'm aware, as in speed, not as in he farts all the time.
And power.
Yeah.
And power. Okay, so for me, with your back three, you've got your roles, and both wingers aren't necessarily doing the same thing. And for me, Combeer and Tommy Lewis, from what I know, are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. So is Tommy Lewis in maybe big part to play? Is he another one of our 20-man bench?
I put Tommy Lewis in one to watch because nobody knows anything about him if you haven't been watching Jersey for the last season.
R.I.P.
Well, he got out just at the right time, didn't he? Yeah, I think he's one to watch as well because, like you say, you never really know, is he going to fit into the system? And I know he came from us and then he went somewhere else and all that kind of stuff, and now he's back. But yeah, one to watch for me, definitely.
Cool. All right, let's finally talk props. Wyn
You stuck
Jones.
him in point to prove, mate. Come on.
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't moved him.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, there
I
he is.
I apologize.
Oh, boo!
Move the mouse. Move the mouse.
Wyn Jones. Wyn Jones. Is he a tight head or a loose head for us this season?
Both.
Yeah.
I think that's the way that it's going to go, and that's how we're going to get around injuries. And I don't think he'll be the only one that we'll see switching sides this year. I think that's the kind of player that we're going to have from now on.
Is he first choice in either of those positions?
No.
No, but so I don't know who is.
This feels like it's rampaging towards big parts of play. He's going to be on the pitch in some capacity, but we don't know what yet.
Oh, he's in the 23 every week unless he needs a rest.
Yeah, I think he's obviously one of your better players, but I couldn't put him down as nailed on to start because he's had too many issues with fitness and injuries and just, I don't know, it's something. He's just lost a little bit of edge, but he's still a massive player, and he's still going to be a massive player for the Scarlets.
I think we're developing 4-year loose head props because Rob Evans had an amazing 4 years. Yeah. Wyn Jones had a great 4 years, and they've just both seemed to started falling off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So does that mean that Kemsley Mathias, his 4 years starts now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nailed on starter?
100%.
Yeah. And will be in the Wales Six Nations squad.
And will be out starting loose head from either the summer or next autumn internationals onwards. I don't understand how he wasn't in the squad in the first place for this World Cup. Smashes Domachowski and Smith every day of the week.
Definitely Domachowski. He pisses all over Domachowski every day. But I said this on the Rap podcast, that we've got so many props now who are at a decent level, and the only way that you find out whether they make it at international level is to throw them into international level. And with props, they need a run of 5 or 6 games to find out if they're any good or not. I think we're finding out pretty quickly that Domachowski's got issues with his game. And for me, Kemsley is definitely, he's nailed on for the Scarlets, definitely from now on. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him taken fairly swiftly.
Yeah. Okay, then. Let's talk about a man who I think I know where you're going to put him, Samson Lee.
Well, you don't need to move him very far, put it that way.
Don't be mean. He's like a brother to me.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those players that everybody likes. Everybody's got a good story about Samson. Everybody's got a nice, a warm place in their heart for him. Unfortunately, that place isn't on the pitch at the minute. And he may come back and he may just have an amazing season from November through till March or whatever, and then he'll disappear again and we won't see him. And I hope he does. I hope he comes back and just destroys people for the fun of it for a couple of months. But I can't see him being with the Scarlets at this point next year.
It's just it's sad. He epitomizes a local boy. He really does every single thing about him. The fact that even trying to make a caravan park, but it is a shame to see where he's gone through the injuries. He's never properly recovered from his first Achilles injury, and second, it's hard to see him coming back. It really is, sadly.
Yeah. As much as we wish him well, it's professional sport, so yeah, he's not the player he was, so he's got a point to prove. Cool.
Okay, let's talk about two more props who I'm sure a lot of people like me keep getting mixed up. Harry O'Connor and Sam Wainwright. So Sam Wainwright is the one with long hair.
I told you, it's all about the hair.
What? What do you say, Mark?
How can you get him mixed up? Sam Wainwright has a massive arch in his back every time he packs down.
We're getting technical now. You've confused Hugh.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm surprised he hasn't slipped a few discs, or he probably has already. The few times I've seen him pack down, oh my God. It makes
Sam
me
Wainwright
cringe.
never need buy a beer again, because when we were beating South Africa in South Africa, he got chucked on for the last play of the game, which was a scrum on the halfway line, and the South Africans can kick him from halfway, and Pivak's like, on you go, mate, don't mess it up, first ever win for Wales in South Africa, no pressure or anything. He didn't budge. He was like, what's his name? Kitsoff, Stephen Kitsoff, who? I've never heard of you, mate. Back you go. So,
yeah.
Anyway, all that being said,
it's a consistency thing with him, though, isn't it? I would genuinely love to see him come on and be the outstanding player that. I mean, he's got potential, but we see his potential in such small bits. 5 minutes in a game, 10 minutes in a game. And you want to see it for 75 minutes. You want to see him have outstanding games and stuff like that. And yeah, I think he's one to watch. He's one to watch because
Really?
he's got potential, mate. He's definitely got potential.
See,
he hasn't got ability.
I think we've seen a lot of him already. He's going to be in our 23 more often than not, so I put him in big part to play. But as one to watch, I don't see his ceiling being that high compared to another tight head prop we've got.
Okay, so you're saying Harry O'Connor is going to be better?
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
So is he nailed on starter?
No, he's one to watch.
That's lower on the list, Mark.
It's not lower on the list because one to watch could be a nailed on starter within a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Big part of play is not going to move.
I think O'Connor had a couple of. He started showing what he's made of, and then he was in the Wales squad as a bit of experience for him, and then he got kind of injured. Didn't he do a thumb or a hand injury or something? Yeah. And it just completely wrecked him for the rest of the season. So yeah, I think he's got, in terms of mobility and hands and a genuine sidestep, as a prop, he's actually got a sidestep on him. I think he's got a massive, massive future. So yeah, definitely one to watch. I'm agreeing with Martin. One to watch can kind of float around in between all sorts of the categories there. It's genuinely, it could
one
be
to watch is fluid.
This is why I didn't consult you before coming out with the categories. Right. So what did we say about Sam Wainwright? He's going to be playing. So is he in big part to play?
Yeah.
Or has he got a point to prove? Big part to play.
And he could equally fuck it up as much as he could have an amazing one. So it's it's going to be important that he plays well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about some more second rows. Jack Price. I think this one's Jack Price. These are the ones who all look the same as each other.
If you zoom in.
I can't zoom in, man.
Go make him bigger.
I can't make him any bigger.
That vaguely looks. Yeah, that's Jack.
This is Jack, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So right, where's he then? Because we've already got two. We've said we've got our 2 second rows nailed on starter in Lausi and Fafita. So
I see him as a squad member. Simply because, like I say, there are so many players ahead of him who you'd have in the team every time. Yeah. But I think he's going to be in the 23 more often than not.
Yeah, I agree.
That for me depends on where Fafita plays. If he spends the majority of the season in the lock, then I can't see Jack Price getting many minutes, just because we've brought Alex Craig in and he's going to be on a decent bit of money. And I still see Morgan Jones a step ahead of Jack Price at the minute.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, actually. Yeah. We need another
Morgan Jones?
We need another category.
So. Yeah, that's Morgan.
Yeah, we need another category that says very valuable squad member.
That's big part to play. That's what big part to play is.
No, big part to play is the 23.
Yeah. Hugh's like, up yours. We're not doing this next season. You two are messing with my system.
So Morgan Jones is in big part to play then, is he?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I'd put him there ahead of a Price just because he's had a couple of games where he's been absolutely outstanding. And I mean, like proper, keeping Fafita out of the side, kind of outstanding.
Yeah.
But then he's had a couple of games where is he on the pitch? So, yeah.
He's that player who has shown that he can be the full package, but he hasn't shown how often he can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, who's next?
Next, let's go for Tame Plumtree. So I've got 2 predictions for Tame Plumtree. He's going to play more games for Wales this year than he will for the Scarlets, and he's going to get red carded for the Scarlets.
Oh, definitely a red card.
He's got red card written all over him.
Oh,
he's
that's what I like.
He loves to get stuck in.
He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder about something, isn't he?
Everyone I've spoken to him every time I've spoken to about him when he first came over, said he's got a bit of dog in him. Like, I'm like, what has he done? What did he do?
You can see it. You can see it in every essence of his being. Every time he goes in for a tackle, for a hit in the ruck, he's that enforcer that me and Lee were talking about last season that we haven't replaced Jake Ball with. Yeah. He is that guy that is going to marshal everyone. I absolutely love it.
So you mind my words now. He's going to get injured in this Barbarians game. He's going to come back.
No, stop. Stop.
He's going to come back for the Challenge Cup. He's going to play both Challenge Cup games, and then he's going to get sent off in the last one of those. And then he's going to be back from his ban for the Six Nations, and then he'll play in the Europe after the Six Nations, and then he'll get injured again, and we won't see him the rest of the season. That's what's going to happen with Tame Plumtree.
So that's what we're going to play.
But he's a nailed-on starter.
Come May.
We're never going to see him. He's never going to be on the pitch, but he's a nailed-on starter if he's ever there. So,
yeah, if he's fit and not banned, he will be a nailed-on starter. That's just not going to be very often.
I think it throws issues into our back row, and where you got so much quality in that back row now, with Plumtree, McLeod, Davis, and then you've got Tuipulotu coming through. We have got to do something with that amount of quality. That much quality, we need to be ripping sides apart.
Yeah. And it's not just these ones that play in. Obviously, like Hugh said earlier, this is the senior squad only. We've got 2 boys who are classed as senior academy in Ewan Shenton and Ben Williams, who, quite frankly, could break into our first team with these guys already here.
Yeah. So you're confusing Hugh now. Hugh's gone, look, I've specifically told you we're not going to look at academy. We just do as you're told,
be
Martin.
Academy, that's why.
Just do as you're told and read the bloody screen, Martin.
A 23-year-old in academy, what are they thinking?
Yeah, first year academy as well. Anyway, who's next?
Anyway, right. Ethan Jones. Did we decide how we're saying his first name? I've gone with Ethan.
Evan.
The
guy from RGC.
Yeah.
The guy from RGC. I want to put him in one to watch purely because he's a Scarlet scrum half, which means he is going to get capped by Wales in the next 12 months.
Yeah,
Well,
I think.
We go around one joker, so yeah, go for it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to. He's shown what he can do at the Premiership level, so
he's already better than Ruben Morgan-Williams.
That's my 14-year-old daughter is already better than Williams.
Fight didn't talk.
No, I think if one player can come from the Premiership and step up, then others might go, actually, and some of our professional sides might start looking at a bit more and go, actually, yeah, can we pull players from there and not take players from the squad and put them down and then pull them up. Can we take players who come through the Premiership and bring them into the professional rugby?
And not just the kids who are 21, 22, boys that have done it for years, like Evan has. He's 26 years old. He's done it for a number of years already.
Yeah, he's earned it, definitely. Yeah.
Right. What do you call him, Lee? Dinky Jones?
Dinky Jones. Yeah.
Valuable squad member or big part to play?
Valuable.
He's been around for a while now.
Yeah, and he's never going to be a first choice outside half. Never. I mean, he thought he had the opportunity, and then we brought in Patch, and then every time he thinks there's an opportunity, we bring in Johan Lloyd,
and then there's Sam obviously as well.
Who's
the guy who used to go on Scrum 5 all the time? Was it Gwyn Jones?
Gwyn Jones, yeah.
Gwyn Jones. I remember he said once, like, Dan Davis is the best fly-half in Wales. I'm like,
who's Dan Davis?
Who's Dan Davis? Yeah.
Dan Jones. Sorry. Dan Jones is the best fly-half in Wales.
Yeah.
No, I
like Peter Thomas. So is it Andy Howell or Peter Thomas that says that Tyler Morgan, not Tyler Morgan, who's the guy who's just retired from Cardiff? Matthew Morgan, who's the best 10 at Wales have produced in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, if you say so.
No, I mean,
but going forward,
I love Dinky, and I can go back. I can't remember the exact year, but I think it was like 2014, 2015, and it was one of the first times he was coming onto the Scarlet pitch, and he had 4 games on the bounce because of injury to. It must have been pre-stun back then. And he was absolutely outstanding, and I thought he was going to kick on, and I thought he was very much a Stephen Jones style player, no nonsense, does his business and moves on with it. But I think he's, like you said, he's been blocked out by player signings, and he could have been a lot better than what he actually has turned out to be, but that's purely due to squad retentions, players coming in.
Yeah. I'm surprised that he didn't move to the Dragons when Sam Davis moved on from, not Sam Davis, what's his name? Nigel Davis's boy. Yes, it's Sam Davis, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he moved on, I thought Dinky would go to the Dragons because it'd be an opportunity to actually go and take that first team starting place. So I'm a little surprised that he's still here because he's a really rock solid player, genuinely rock solid. He doesn't have a game that suits the natural Scarlet way, which is why I think he's still here, because he's always that backup option when you need when you need plan B. Dinky is plan B, because he's more controlling, he's more direct, he's more he tightens the game up, and that's why he's really, really good. That's where his skill is. Closing out a game, you'd have Dinky on the pitch every time, but that it doesn't fit with players like Costello, Johan Lloyd, and Fafita and Lousy, this expansive, creative, let's do wild stuff, Steph Evans, let's do stuff that nobody's expecting. Dinky would have an absolute fit going, no, we're bump, this is what we're doing. So I think that's where he's good, and that's why he's valuable squad member, and he will probably be at the Scarlets until he retires now, I think.
Okay. No, I think he'll go to the Dragons. Well, it's the same, really, isn't it? Anyway, so 3 players left.
Scarlets B team, as we like to call them now.
Johan Nicholas. What do you reckon? I think he's down on the website as just like back.
Everything.
He doesn't have a position.
He reminds me a lot of Rhys Henry at the Ospreys because he looks about
because he looks like he's 40 and he's about 22.
Yeah, I think Johan Nicholas is 24 now. I think, and he looks like he's been in camp for about 10 years and is about to retire and all of that kind of stuff. But I thought he had a really good season last year. I really did. I thought we spoke about him a lot last year, Mark, because Dwayne Peel was talking him up and he was relying on him a lot. And actually, he had quite a few really, really good games, Really
and it
decent.
wasn't even just good games at one position. He had a good game at 12, at 13, at fullback. I mean, I thought at one point, he could be a long-term fullback successor because that's how good he was playing in that shirt.
His best games were definitely at fullback. But talking about what we were saying earlier, we don't have a nailed-on 12 at the minute. We've got options at 12, but we don't have a nailed-on 12. Could he be the solution at 12? I'd like to see, can he do it? Because he's got the skills. It's whether he's got the size and the brute force to play that type of game.
So how would you feel about Costello at 10, Nicholas at 12, Lloyd at 15?
Warm and
I like
fuzzy.
any team that has the idea of Costello at 10 and Lloyd at 15. I think I'd watch that all day. I think that's worth watching. Doesn't matter who else is on the pitch.
It would make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Is how that would make me feel.
It's about playing the game the right way despite the result.
Yeah,
isn't that right too?
I've got the Scarlets to entertain me, and I've got Wales to win Grand Slams.
But I think the important thing there is that the haircut balance would be absolutely spot on with those 3. So yeah.
You've got to stop, mate. You've got a problem.
Can we do one of these with like haircuts and facial hair?
Well, I'd be nailed on starter for sure.
Mate, you'd be on the bench going off.
Right. We're down to our last 2. Nearly there. So
go on, then.
Steph Thomas.
Yeah,
I believe is second row.
No, he's a prop.
Prof, loose head.
Yeah.
He looks like a second row. Anyway, carry on.
I haven't seen him in person, have you?
He is a big boy, isn't he? He's a tall prop, isn't he? Yeah. And again, showed a lot of promise last season. Had a few good games where you just thought, okay, yeah, this is it. This is the next one coming through. Yeah, and just you wanted him to go on and do something, really did. But
if we're going back to last season, October time, I was raving about him. I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
hadn't seen Matthias play at this point. I'm going to point that out. And you go up one. Yeah, no, stop.
Squad member.
Want to watch?
Squad. He's
a squad member, mate.
He's a squad member. He is a great player, and if Wynn goes at the end of the season, which I think a lot of people are suspecting, if his contract is up, we're not 100% sure, then Steph Thomas being back up to Matthias is a no-brainer. There's no problems here for me.
Well, both of them are keeping you out of the squad, Mark. So, as soon as one of them moves on, get your boots, fella, and you're there.
Well, the thing is, mate, Luke said is the easier position. So, I'd rather be a tight dead.
All right. And then last one is Tom Rogers, who's getting into nailed on starter just because of his blue steel in his mugshot.
He's another one with the hair, though.
What's wrong with his hair? His hair's lovely.
Yeah. He doesn't have much of it.
He does. He's got this.
He's got plenty of hair.
Yeah, he's got this curly stuff going on, and then he's got a shaved thing going on, and then I don't know. See, I I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think he's a nailed-on starter at all. Genuinely don't. I think he makes too many mistakes. For me, he's at the bottom. He's point to prove because he's shown what he can do, and then he's shown how he can screw it up. I suppose, he's similar to Steph Evans in that sense. He's just younger and at the start of his career. So for me, he's got more to prove than being a nailed-on starter. I know people are talking about him in the Wales squad and this, that, and the other. A bit like Kieran Hardy, I don't see it for the Scarlets. I've seen glimpses of it. I've seen bits of it. But then I've also seen bits of it, and I just think, Christ alive, fella, how are you a professional player if you make that kind of mistake? And that's what frustrates me about Rodgers, is he could be amazing, and he could be shit, and it could be 5 minutes apart. So that's why
it's kind of difficult to put our back three all in the nailed-on starter position because I can't see
it. Perfect maths.
I can't see it going our way. Our back three is going to change a bit through the season. The biggest problem I think we got with Tom Rodgers is we've still got Johnny McNichol there. If Johnny left, then Tom would be 100% nailed on because he'd be in that 15 shirt and he'd be proving why people believe in him. Because when he's played 15, I've seen great things from him. I've seen good things on the wing, but like Lee said, I've seen massive brain farts from him too. As a 15, without Johnny McNichol, he'd be a nailed-on starter. But as it stands, I don't know where I'd put him.
That's helpful, Mark. You've got a choice of 5, mate. Put him somewhere.
Well, okay, I'm on 2. I got rid of the 2.
Right.
Right, we're on 2 already. So which 2 have you got?
My 2 are big part to play and point to prove.
I can't believe this. I'm being outvoted. I can't believe that I can't believe our 3 in point to prove are Alex Craig, who's never played a game for us, Samson Lee, who's at it, and Tom Rodgers, who's going to be the wing for Wales for however many years to come.
I think
he's not going to be a wing for Wales.
He's not going to be an international
He's going
winger.
to be. You might not like it. That is going to happen.
No.
He's not going to be a wing. If he ever does cut it through properly, it's going to be at fullback, and he does have a high ceiling. I'm not going to argue that, but it's attaining that, and that seems to be his issue.
I think that wearing that hat for prolonged periods of time is making your brain do funny things. I think every now and again you need to let the oxygen get to the brain and seep in. I can't see him as an international. I'll be honest, he's not. I'd agree if he's going to make it anywhere, it's going to be at fullback, but he needs to improve quite a bit. I'd say there's a few players ahead of him at the minute at fullback, and there's a shitload of players ahead of him as an international wing at the minute. So, even at the Scarlets, we all know he's got potential. We'd like to see him show that potential.
Okay, right. So he's in point to prove. Right. Well, there's the tier list, everybody. Well done. We'll post an image of it on the socials and things. So before we wrap it up, I just want to tell a bit of a story time, on our new forwards coach, which is Albert van den Berg. So the reason that I got a story to tell about him is because there was a bit of a mystery. So he was announced with some fanfare by the Scarlets, and the Scarlets said that he did well coaching in Japan, and then he did well coaching the Griquas in the Curry Cup. Now, if you go on his Wikipedia, it says that he is, as of today, still coaching in Japan. So obviously his Wikipedia hasn't been updated for a long time. For the people who don't know him, he won the World Cup with South Africa in 2007. He played for the Sharks, South African legend. So I messaged a couple of South African guys on Twitter and was like, what can you tell me about this guy? And they went, oh, well, there's the controversy, of course. And I'm like, what controversy? Like, well, because I was like, my information is that his last team he coached was the Greekest, and they were like, no, that's not true. He coached the Lions, the Emirates Lions. So that isn't mentioned in the Scarlets press release. It says he coaches in Japan, and then he coached in the Currie Cup, and now he's with the Scarlets. It does not mention his time at the Lions. So I wanted to know why that was. So it turns out there has been a drama. So all of this is coming from South Africans I've spoken to on Twitter and a couple of South African news outlets where I've read the articles. So if any of it's not true, I'm reporting it in good faith, and I'm sorry. And Albert, if you want to come on the pod and tell us the real story, feel absolutely free. So apparently he fell out with the head coach at the Lions. He WhatsApped the CEO of the Lions to say he weren't happy. He accused the team analyst of spying on him, and he declined in the end to turn up to work. That sounds bad, but apparently he was well within his rights. So I spoke to Ryan Lowe, who's a YouTuber, South African YouTuber, and he's a Lions fan, and he explained to me that the Lions are an absolute shambles. So apparently everyone in South Africa is bust, but the Lions are the bustest of the bust. And apparently it was a bit of a soap opera behind the scenes. So the head coach he fell out with, the players did like this coach rater app thing. I don't know how it was. And they ranked the coaches out of 10. They rated Albert 8 out of 10 as a coach. They rated the Lions head coach 3 out of 10. So it seems like they were on Albert's side. And there was all sorts going on behind the scenes. So there's a story about them going on tour to France for European Cup. And they rocked up in France and they hadn't brought any kit with them. So they got, I think it was a training kit, or it might have even been their opposition's training kit, and got their numbers printed on the back of them, and it wasn't their proper kit. So that's one of the examples. There's also stories about female staff members being in the players' changing rooms whilst they're getting changed and things like that are just a little bit, a bit dodgy. And then there was hot dog gate. Go on, Matt.
I mean, females being in the changing room, that's just normal. I mean, even when I played, you always had a female face in the room with them.
They were just there to see you, Matt. That's all it was.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
With a big flag saying, "We love Big M."
There's enough M for all of us, they say.
Big by name.
So, hot dog gate. So, here's what happened. So, they were on a trip in France. The team that they were playing where they had to do the jersey thing, it was Stade Francais. So they were at Stade Francais, staying in a hotel. The team manager, who apparently was a shambles in their own right, the team manager says, "All right, everybody on the bus, we're going out for dinner." All the players pile onto the bus. The bus sets off. Drive around a bit. The bus arrives back at the hotel. And the team manager goes, "Right, everybody off the bus. Your dinner's inside." And I was going, what's going on here? So I'm going to read a quote from one of the players. So this player isn't named, but he is quoted in one of the South Africa papers. So this is what the player says. "It was so bad. We were taken in a bus from the hotel we were at, just end up back at the very same hotel. We thought we were going to a restaurant, but we ended up returning to our hotel to get a buffet." Another player said it wasn't a buffet. "We were chowing hot dogs on tour. Usually we have proper nutritionist meals planned out, but we were given hot dogs. We were wondering if it was some kind of emergency plan, but no, that was the plan to feed us on tour. Hot dogs for tea." So that's Albert Vandenberg, everybody. That's our new forwards coach. Apparently he's well out of it at the Lions, well out of it. So I hope he turns our line out. He's known for his line out work. So I hope he turns us into a functional line out, which I think is about as good as we can hope for in Wales.
Well, I've got a quite a nifty little segue there, because I spoke to Rico Hlungawe, which I'm doing very well to pronounce his name this morning, which will be out as a bonus pod later today when this comes out.
I'm not jealous.
No, Martin had to go. Martin couldn't come. So Rico is the forwards coach at the Stormers, and actually speaks really highly of our new forwards coach. He says he's they've had quite a few battles in the past, and he says if he can bring a bit of his South African steel to the Scarlets, and we can mix that in with the flair and the excitement, then we're going to be something to be reckoned with. So, but you can hear that full interview with Rico, who, by the way, is a really, really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. You can hear that. That'll be on our channels. Same thing, though. Where you get all the other stuff. That will be on there at midday on Friday, hopefully as well, and it'll be out on YouTube, lad. On YouTube, it'll be there later in the day as well. Cool. So before we move on to the Bulls game for this weekend, so we'll just do a little bit on the Bulls. So I'm going to spring this on you two now, for how we do the season and all that kind of stuff. So Hugh, I've said to you in the past about doing your magic numbers every week. Are we happy to still go with Hugh's magic numbers?
Yeah.
There we go then. We'll do that. So, and then I thought, Mark, maybe you could have like a bit of a grump and a grumble at the start of everyone, so we could have Martin's grump or Martin's grump.
Oh, come on.
I thought that suits you,
I'm the
man.
positive guy. Come on.
Oh. Okay, we'll call it Martin's grumble, but actually it'll be here's all the things I really liked about last Saturday. How's that? Yeah, we'll call it.
It'll always be last Saturday because I'll be talking about the community game.
Cool. Right. So that's sorted. So we've got a stat, and we've got Mr. Statman, and then we've got Mr. Grumpy Grumble. That will actually be a very positive view of all the good things that happened the weekend before. Okay, I'm liking that. But that's almost organised for me. I'm just going to write it down and remember it for next week, and we've got this shit sorted. Lovely. Right. Let's talk about the Bulls on Sunday at silly o'clock. Hugh, what are your expectations? What are you thinking? And finish off with a prediction for this game. So sorry. Before we do this, because this is winding Dragon supporters up as well. Being positive about your side is not. I don't know if it's just the Dragons, but being positive about your side and being encouraging about your side isn't viewed very well in Welsh rugby at the minute. If you talk about your side with any level of positivity and any level of expectation, you're getting shot down for being deluded and being ridiculous and all of these kind of things. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there now for you guys before Twitter hits and starts calling you all sorts of things. Just be aware of that. Dragons fans don't like positivity. However, we're not Dragons fans. I think Scarlets are going to have a really good weekend. Hugh, what are you expecting from the game this weekend?
Well, I mean, obviously we've never won in South Africa. And I think I'm right in saying that no Welsh team has ever won in South Africa. I think that's correct, isn't it? Yes, it is. It is. Yes, definitely.
Right. We haven't wound those up yet.
I don't know what you're referring to, mate, because I don't know of any result that there is to refer to. Anyway,
he's going to go.
Yes. So yeah. I'm not sure that's going to change, to be honest. The Bulls are my tip to win the URC this year because they've been really active in their recruitment and they've splashed a lot of cash. So a try bonus point would be nice, as would a losing bonus point. So I think, if we win, I'll be delirious, absolutely delirious. I think the best we can hope for is 2 losing bonus points.
So you're going for Bulls by 7.
Bulls by 6. I think they'll be 15 points ahead with 10 minutes to go. I think we'll score 2 late tries to make the scoreboards look a bit nicer.
Okay. Mark, what are you expecting from the game this weekend?
This is probably the most difficult fixture we could have started the season with. Because you look at all 4 franchises in South Africa, and the Bulls do not commit many to the South African squad. I mean, they've got Marco van Staden, Moody, Arons, and Willie LaRue, who's only just come back. And they've got players like Sergio Peterson coming in the line as well. So he's probably one of the best wingers from South Africa to never properly get a run in the shirt. If I'm going to go with my heart, which I always do, because I'm the positive one, remember, Lee? I'm the positive one.
Okay, Grump. Yeah.
No, it's going to be an exciting game. Obviously, nice, hard, flat grounds. I think they'll suit us really well. I'll go for a Scarlets win always, because if you're a Scarlets fan, you have to say a Scarlets win, no matter what stats tell you.
Yeah.
No matter how many times New Zealand have beaten Wales, Wales will win this time. I'll go Scarlets by 3. I'm not going to be specific because I've got a baby in the corner that's going to attack me in a minute.
So, I genuinely don't know how this game is going to go. I think so many things have changed with, Scarlets and other things in the off season that I think the first kind of 4 or 5 games we need to watch really, really closely to find out where we are and what kind of style of game we're playing and how many yellow cards we're going to get this year, and all of those kind of things, will tell us where we need to be. So on the Wrap podcast, I predicted Bulls by 7, but I said we'd come back with 2 losing bonus points. But I actually spoke really highly of, our predictions, and I felt Scarlets were going to do well through the season, and I felt that we were going to make top half of the table, probably around 6th. Yeah. So, I still genuinely believe that we've got the quality there that to do it. But this is where I was saying it really winds people up when you start talking positive about your side. So yeah, I'm going to change my prediction from Bulls by 7, and I'm going to change my prediction to Scarlets by 5, for no other reason than just to piss off Dragons and Ospreys supporters. You can't say, oh, look at the funding, look how many players we've lost. Yeah. Every now and again, something weird happens. And if I get it wrong, no one gives a shit apart from Dragons and Osprey supporters. So I'm going to go by Scarlets by 5. And then I'm going to put it all over Twitter just to annoy Dragons supporters on that one. Yay. Right. Okay. Are we done, gents? Are we finished?
I think so. I want the pod to end.
There's still loads to talk about.
Yeah, we can't do the community. We'll do the community one in a separate pod tomorrow. So we normally do our community rundown. I forgot to do the scores from last week, but there weren't many games, so we'll do a quick rundown tomorrow of the scores and the fixtures for this weekend. But what I will say is, as Wales have now been knocked out of the World Cup, my dilemma about watching the semi-final on my weekend away in Cardiff has now been resolved. I don't need to worry about that at all. So I now have to find a way of watching the Scarlets game on Sunday whilst travelling back down the M4, which presents a new issue. I was tempted to. I was tempted to see if she fancies driving, and then I could watch it on the phone. But I'm not sure.
What you can do is you can go, I'm feeling a little bit sick, on the morning. I don't really think I'm up for driving.
Yeah, it's. I did it for one of the Fiji games. Not the Fiji England game. It was Fiji were playing someone in the summer in a warm up game, and I was watching it on the phone, and we're doing like 65, 70 going down the M4. And it's all kind of quiet, and I'm watching it, and then all out of nowhere, I go, yeah, go on, like this. And this is not long after I've had my operation and stuff. And she's like, what the fuck, what are we doing? 2-on-1, and he took the tackle, and all he had to do was give the ball. Oh my God, man, she had to pull into Swansea Services to give me a bollocking. So I don't think that would go down very well if I did that again. But
go in the back seat.
I might have to watch it on catch up later in the night. So anyway, there we go, gents. We're about to hit the URC. Enjoy your season. This is going to be a big one. I've got a good feeling about this. I can feel it in my water, but that might just be the cup of tea I had before we started. But I've got a good feeling on this one, guys. So enjoy yourselves. Have a good one. And I shall see you next week. All the best, gents.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Scarlets Fever podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to us, as it really helps us spread the word. You can find us on all the usual social media channels or email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. And remember, whatever the question, rugby is always the answer.
Sports Social Podcast Network.